to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo. Hex, what doth pray tell we have for gaming serving up this week?
Well, we'll be rolling around in the countryside and searching for fat loots with DeathSpank.
Verily. And we'll be testing our gaming skills and patience in the hardcore role-playing game Demon Souls.
Which finally has a local release.
Finally?
Plus, we'll also check out the grim and haunting puzzle platformer Limbo.
But first, can you guess the game for this week?
I totally know what that is.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No. No, that's not. I changed it.
What?
He didn't even say anything. He just went like this. He didn't say anything. Go read the news.
Good game.
Electronic Arts has sold their entire 15% interest in Ubisoft, raising speculation that another company could launch a takeover bid of the French gaming institution.
When the party is over, the adventure begins.
Analysts are tipping Activision Blizzard as the firm most likely to make a move. When EA first bought the tranche of Ubisoft shares back in 2005, there was speculation that this was the beginning of a takeover attempt. Yet EA remained a silent partner, treating the holding as a strategic investment. Oddworld Is Back. Lorne Lanning's legendary development house has signed a deal with UK developer Just Add Water to bring a new generation of games to the market, all set in the Oddworld universe.
Listen, son, it ain't that hard to find. It's not a big town, you know.
Oddworld made waves in the 90s with the release of titles like Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus, games with an innovative use of pre-rendered CGI. Yet there have been no new games from the studio since Oddworld's Stranger's Wrath came out for the original Xbox back in 2005. In Japan, the brand name of the developer Cavia has been retired, its staff and development assets absorbed into parent company AQ Interactive. Cavia made many fine games over the years, including Korg DS10 and Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. Their most recent game, the RPG Nier, failed to connect with gamers and will stand as their last.
Dad, I don't want you to hate me because of this.
Codemasters CEO Rod Cousins has slammed the use of digital rights management software as a means for fighting piracy. Instead, the head of the company responsible for Colin McRae Rally and Overlord has proposed a different solution. Specifically, Cousins believes that games companies could better protect their profits by selling unfinished games, his words, not ours, and then selling multiple DLC packs over the game's life. While such a system would certainly safeguard corporate profits, Cousins' proposal has attracted widespread criticism. Many are predicting that such a business model would facilitate rampant exploitative price gouging.
Good game.
The world almost ended once. It is a story I need to tell before I grow too old to remember. It is a story of a man, some called a curse, and others called a hero.
When the world needs a hero, there's only one man who can get the job done right. The wearer of the purple thong, DeathSpank.
DeathSpank is an XBLA and PSN game brought to us by Hothead Games, with Monkey Island creator Ron Gilbert at the helm. You know, a lot of people are saying this game is Monkey Island meets Diablo, and I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's a comical romp through the countryside where you'll be performing quests and getting fat loots at every turn. The evil Lord Von Prong has kidnapped a bunch of whinging orphans, and DeathSpank must set about rescuing them, removing Von Prong from his throne with the biggest sword ever. DeathSpank tries to be funny at every single moment in the game, and it pretty much succeeds, especially when you start exploring all those NPC dialogue options. Hilarious.
Wronganator 3000.
Yeah, it's no Probulator 64.
And the quests are quirky, though they do lack a little bit of inspiration. I mean, most of them are just collect quests. I don't think you'll get too frustrated though, because there's a well-integrated hint system. Fortune cookies drop around the world that can be cashed in for hints for particular quests. They're not huge in supply, and if you're playing the game in one epic sitting, you probably won't need them anyway.
Yeah, I found the next day I was was starting to forget where stuff was, so it was good those hints were there. And they weren't overused. In fact, everything in this game has a fine balance to it. You're never overpowered or underpowered. The pacing of the hero cards and even that refreshing health you get every time you complete a quest. You can tell it's had a lot of time spent just making sure everything comes to you at the right time.
I really liked that rolling countryside effect. You know, I felt like I was walking around a small planetoid filled with pop-up 2D sprites. It is definitely a unique look. We played the PS3 version, and sometimes when you're in the wider view, there's some distracting tearing and frame issues.
Yeah, I noticed that too, especially in the candy cane forest.
Oh, I love the candy cane forest, especially the gingerbread man and the leprechauns.
What, you didn't like the unicorns?
No, they were mean.
Yeah, they were mean, and it was annoying trying to get all that poop. In fact, there are a lot of quests in this game which revolve around some sort of poop collection. You can set your equipment to auto-equip, which keeps DeathSpank looking good and also saves a lot of messing around. The gear and combat keep things pretty simple, but there are plenty of options, and if you alternate between weapons, you'll get a combo boost and work your way up to that heroic attack, which is very powerful.
I would have liked a deeper combat and block system. I just never felt the need to block throughout the game, and I didn't tire of it throughout the 9 hours that it takes to complete this game, but I just wish they developed it more.
Yeah, I didn't block either. It was much easier just spamming health potions and avoiding attacks, building up for your big ones. I loved eating on the run too while tons of enemies chase you. Nom, 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 nom. This game has co-op as well, but it's not like Castle Crashers. It's really only a sidekick, and it's only local, which is a bit of a shame. It's not really that rewarding just running about helping the other players.
I expected more from you, DeathSpank.
I see you've fallen into my trap, Sergeant Orc.
I just really dug the humor in this game, Hex, and any game that lets you teleport around the map using toilets is good in my book, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
A taco sounds easier, safer, and conveniently fits in my pocket.
DeathSpank is a very well-written game, and it just stops short of being too noobish or too accessible. We did encounter the odd bug, not being able to talk to or interact with certain NPCs, but flipping out of the menu pretty much fixed that. Other than that, it was a fun and addictive game. I'm giving it an 8 as well.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized age. Not as clumsy or random as a banjo.
If I wasn't in games development, I'd be breaking rocks. So let me explain it. I have a whole business plan for it. It's a boutique gravel company here in LA, and it's handmade gravel for your driveway. We'll bring you Italian granite, and it's just me in coveralls with a sledgehammer. I get a tan, I get buff, and I don't have to make any decisions except how small does the rock have to be. It's great. I love it.
Good game.
After a frightful stunt gone awry and his career threatening to go down the toilet, Joe Danger is making his motorbike stunt return, and he's the star of this PS3 downloadable game.
The game is kind of like a platformer crossed with a racer, so instead of speeding your way through the track, you'll need to navigate a tricky obstacle course in the most efficient way, collecting the most stars, coins, and bonuses as you go. Once you get used to driving from the side perspective, you'll need to get into the swing of all the platforming elements and obstacles involved. It takes a while to get the hang of it. You'll need to have a fair bit of patience initially, but as you start to memorize those courses, you'll really fly through them and even pull off a few impressive tricks and wheelies in the process.
There's a cool combination of boosts, ducks, and jumps, and performing wheelies will fill your boost meter, which gives you a burst of speed. Some of the controls might seem a little awkward. The jump function, for example, can only be performed after holding X to crouch. Once you let go, Danger will do a little bunny hop. So you need to get the timing of your jumps just right, and it all contributes to the flow of the game.
Yeah, I like that this is about completing the course thoroughly. You know, it's not always about pushing the course like a race. It's about bouncing off springs, avoiding shark pools, and taking the best possible route to get those bonuses, which will unlock the next level. This is another one of those get into a good rhythm games, you know, which you really need to relax into. Otherwise, repeating the same section over and over to spell the word danger with the letters that you collect, I mean, it could get a little bit repetitive.
A bit like the music, hearing that same track over and over 30 times just started to do my head in. But it's a very good looking game. It's colourful and energetic, and for such a small download, it's seriously massive. It just goes on and on forever, and you never run out of stuff to do. But Hex, where this game really shines is the level editor.
Absolutely. I mean, they just got it right here. This is how a level editor is supposed to be done. It's easy to use, the course designing options are creative and extensive, and sometimes you just want to create the most ridiculous courses possible just to see what happens. It'll really get you thinking too, because there are directional changes available, kind of like you'd see in a railroad, that offer more than one way to complete a course. And this can be really tricky, especially when you need certain bonuses to be able to finish that level.
I was a bit surprised and disappointed though, Hex, that you couldn't upload the level you made to a big community where you could browse others and download. You can send it directly to another PSN ID, but we couldn't find anywhere where you could upload or browse other people's creations, and that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it sucks too, because I was really curious to see what other people would have created. Plus, the multiplayer is limited to 2-player split screen, which was a bit disappointing. But I think, given the nature of this game and the replayability of certain courses, which, you know, I think you'll need to do more than once anyway because of all the different bonuses that are offered through different course routes that you can do, this is the kind of game that I can enjoy, but in small doses. And considering the length of this game, I'll have the opportunity to do that for a long time. So it's 7.5 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, it's one of the better PSN games I've played in a while, and the level editor is great, and it's probably the best thing about it, but without those sharing options, there's a bit of what's the point to it, so I'm giving it 7. Limbo is the first game from indie Danish developer Playdead, which is quite an aptly named developer considering the macabre nature of this game. With a bit of research, we found out that you play a young boy who is in search of his sister and enters Limbo to do that. But the game doesn't set you up with any kind of story, you simply awaken in the shadowy darkness of this frosty, treacherous world.
This is a continuous side-scrolling 2D platformer, and quite literally the first thing you'll do in this game is step off a cliff and die. It teaches you very quickly to be careful. Not only that, but it is heartbreakingly brutal. When you fall hard. Sometimes you're even impaled on spikes, stabbed, crushed, or sawed to pieces. It's truly uncomfortable seeing that happen to a child, even just the little silhouetted shadow of one.
Yeah, when his body goes ragdoll, or his head gets cut off, or when he starts drowning in a chasm of water, it can be quite haunting. And this is all amplified with no music in the game too, it's just this eerie wind.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance this game looks like it could have almost been a kid's game, but this one really isn't one for children. In Limbo, the bodies of children lie face down in pools of water or hang by the neck from trees.
Yeah, and at one point I was using the bodies of dead children as stepping stones in the water to get across.
Yeah, it's dark. I mean, you almost question the use of a child as the main protagonist in this game as some kind of cheap shot at affecting the player, but I mean, truly it just makes you more anxious about getting the character through the game, because each time that little boy falls to his death, you're the one that put him there. The art is absolutely breathtaking though. Simple but stunning and frightening all at once. I thought the lack of colour would start to get to me after a while, but the shadows and shading are done so beautifully that you just don't seem to mind. Also, the kind of shadow and light areas are more representative of the psychological undertones of the game's theme.
Limbo sets you up with a bunch of puzzles that, to begin with, mostly just involve you using your eyes, as bear traps and other items are cleverly blended into the game's silhouetted surroundings, and they're easy to miss if you aren't looking carefully enough. Later on, however, those problems just get really, really tricky and you really have to start thinking about them. I think they got that difficulty curve pretty right here, Hex.
Yeah, some of those later problems I had to sleep on them and come back to them the next day because they were just driving me crazy.
Rage quit?
No, just sometimes you need, a new day and a fresh start to reapproach a problem.
Sounds like a rage quit.
Whatever. You'll occasionally come across other murderous children in the world who also try to kill you, and often succeed in the same twisted manner. However, you can use elements of the world around you to lead them to their own brutal fate.
I thought the controls were perfect for this too, they were just simple and intuitive. A lot of the puzzles involved lots of pulleys and swinging ropes and gravity and a variety of monsters, and timing is everything.
It was imaginative too. There were these little glowing brainworm things that would attach themselves to your head and take command of your body, often leading you to suicide. But they were sensitive to light, so they could be manipulated in order to solve a puzzle. Elements like these really gave you a sense of a kind of Tim Burton-like otherworldliness.
Yeah, at this one point I was trapped by this spider and I could hear it chasing me from behind, and it was frightening, and I just think it's great that a downloadable game like this can be so exhilarating.
Yeah, in fact, I have to say, Badge, this is my favourite downloadable game of the year. I was completely spellbound. I moved through the world with a constant sense of wonder and trepidation. This is everything I could want from a downloadable game. I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It's so creepy, and the way that it lingers on the dead body just a little bit too long. I think you need to have a lot of patience to get through the harder parts in the game. You have to be a true puzzle lover, but it's definitely worth it. I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game.
Do what I tell you. Until humans can control consoles with the power of our minds, we're stuck with these implements of plastic and metal wiring. But the elements that we see on our current game controllers exist purely because of their long evolution through gaming history. We bring you our top 5 most influential gaming controllers. Accelerometers, optical sensors, triangulation, Bluetooth. Wiimote wizardry changed for the first time in generations how we engaged with our games at home. It also made both Sony and Microsoft realize that to be competitive in this generation, they also need to delve into the motion gaming pit of potential doom. Although the Wiimote is far from perfect, inflicting wrist pain, destroying furniture, and frustrating those with little patience, it has made an exemplary splash, making it number 5 on our list. Long before the N64 brought back the control stick, the Atari 2600 joystick ruled the lands as the de rigueur controller for gaming. The domination over the home video console market exerted by the Atari 2600 popularised this controller in the hearts and minds of gamers everywhere, pushing it to number 4. Detachable rumble pack not enough? One control stick is one too less? Well, the Sony DualShock controller was for you. No more hunting under sofa cushions for batteries to get that good old hit of vibration action, and the ability to wield 2 analog sticks meant for more precision, and the rubber coating for better grip and comfort. These design achievements were highly influential on future controllers, making the Sony DualShock a worthy number 3. Check out some of the controllers you're using today. See the D-pad, shoulder buttons, 4 action buttons on the right arranged in a diamond pattern, and the curvaceous shape? Take away some superfluous attachments and you've pretty much got yourself a SNES controller. Taking ergonomic inspiration from the Sega Genesis controller and attaching shoulder buttons for the first time ever, Ninty designed a controller that was not only easy on the eyes, but on the appendages, cementing it in as a solid number 2. Directional pad. Designed by Nintendo employee Gunpei Yokoi, the D-pad turned joystick controllers into joy pads and changed gaming history forever. Its inclusion on the NES controller produced an oblong piece of gold which has influenced the designs of almost every controller to date, permeating all facets of console and portable gaming. Not to mention it's also made its way onto t-shirts, furniture, and even mints, and we couldn't imagine gaming without its invention, hence why it's number 1. Next time, take a closer look at the controller in your hand. No doubt it will have taken inspiration from these top 5 stationed in the hallowed halls of video gaming antiquity.
Good game.
Demon's Souls is an action RPG set in the brutal world of Boletaria, a place which is bisected by a mist that hides demons and monsters. Demons and monsters that want to kill you. A lot.
Demon's Souls is a relentlessly old-school game. It's unapologetically mean-spirited and out to get you. There are a few concessions to modern game design tropes. The soundtrack, level design, and graphics are all next-gen, but the actual game design is positively archaic.
Yeah, you're right about that. There's no mid-level save points or checkpoints. You can't pause the game at all, and even using the inventory is at your own risk.
Yeah, I mean, normally these are the kinds of things I'd rail against in a game because these kinds of omissions can often be a sign of lazy development. But Demon's Souls' incredibly old-school approach to game design is brilliant. I mean, it's a painfully difficult game, but an incredibly rewarding one.
Yeah, you know, in RPGs, you feel a sense of accomplishment when you beat a boss or you get some new reward. Here, you really feel that accomplishment if you just get 10 paces further than from where you died before, and it will just make you want to pump your fist in the air.
One of the key factors of this game is the fantastic balance of risk and reward. There is one currency in the game, souls, and this currency is used for everything, like leveling stats, improving or repairing weapons and armor, and buying new gear.
You collect souls by killing enemies, but when you die, you drop them and you leave a little glowing puddle on the ground. And you can get them back if you fight your way back to that point. But if you die on that journey, the souls are forfeit.
The number of souls needed to level stats or gear raises exponentially, so you need to risk more and more to gain enough souls to improve. Do you want to fight your way through the easy monsters at the beginning of the level, die and then fight your way through again to retrieve the dropped souls? Or do you fight on through the level in hopes of finding a way to unlock a shortcut or get lucky with an item drop from an enemy?
Combat is deceptively simple. You have a light and heavy attack, a block and a dodge. But there's no special moves here to learn or any complicated thumbstick controls. It's all about timing and learning patterns.
Enemies range from simple zombie-like demons through to giant dragons, giants, sludge monsters, and worse. Some you can defeat easily, some are all but impossible until you've seriously leveled and geared your character. In keeping with the mean spirit of Demon's Souls, there's no way of knowing which monsters are fodder and which ones are going to beat you down until you try to fight them.
The game is based around a central hub with portals to different levels, but you never know if you're tough enough to actually go through them until you visit them.
There are a number of character classes to choose from, but from our experience, choosing to start as anything other than one of the heavily armored classes like Temple Knight or Priest is just gimping yourself. There's no such thing as character balance in Demon's Souls. That would be too friendly.
The skill system lets you customize your character as you level, and you can learn all the stats and spells you want, as long as you've got the souls for it. And it brings it back to that whole risk-reward thing, Hex.
Yeah, choosing to level one stat over another can really affect the difficulty of the game, I think.
There are two types of co-op gameplay. You can invite people into your world or go into another player's world to help them defeat a boss. You can also leave online messages for other players, warning them of danger or giving them hints on how to defeat enemies. It all sounds so nice, but Atari is a nasty world.
You know, all this co-op sounds friendly, and helping other players is rewarding, but killing other players and stealing their accumulated souls and gear is certainly rewarding as well. I mean, really, you choose to play with other people at your own risk.
I really like this game, Hex. It's so cruel, but that's part of the reason why it's so compelling. I have to beat everything in this game because everything is out to get me. Monsters will kill you, falling in a hole will kill you, people that should be helping you will kill you, and more than likely, you'll kill yourself more than a few times just trying to reap a few more souls.
I think as a result of the level of difficulty here, any progress you make feels monumental. It'll take some time to master Demon's Souls. Bajo, I died so much, and yet I kept going back for more. It's 9 out of 10 from me.
I feel like a bit of a masochist when I boot this game up for a session, Hex. I have a complete love-hate relationship with it. I love the idea of the game, but I hate the unforgiving nature of it, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game.
So, did you guess the game for this week? It was the 1997 real-time strategy epic Total Annihilation for PC. Total top-down, resource-gathering, unit-smashing fun.
But did you guess how it ties into this episode? Total Annihilation was actually produced by DeathSpank's Ron Gilbert. It stands as one of the few serious games he's ever worked on.
Next week, we go on a heroic quest to the ever-secretive Blizzard compound to check out their big 3 games: Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, and World of Warcraft.
Locked in battle.
Plus, we've been on the Cataclysm beta, and we give you our initial impression.
Thanks to everyone who tweeted with us, and don't forget you can catch us on Facebook and on the forums.
It's too small, they can't read that. Bigger. Well, may all your games load fast and autosave often. Hex out.
Bajo out.